Artificial intelligence and the evolving domains of computer science will be defining forces in the next phase of human history. Our shared future hinges on the ethical evolution of technologies that are transforming modern life. The MIT Stephen A. Schwarzman College of Computing aspires to be the true north of computing and AI. We will create the next generation of highly trained computational thinkers and doers who can offer the world the cultural, ethical, and historical consciousness to use technology for a better world. We aim to lead the race to the horizon of computing and AI knowledge. Our discoveries will leave an indelible imprint on education, intelligence, the environment, design, finance, health, music, manufacturing, policy, security, transportation, and diverse areas beyond. This is how MIT will shape the future. And that future starts right now.
Hello, I am Susan Silbey, Chair of the Faculty. On behalf of the 1,040 members of the MIT faculty, I would like to welcome you to this historic event. This is a historic moment locally as we celebrate the opening of the MIT Stephen A. Schwarzman College of Computing. We may produce disruptive innovation, but we are rather organizationally conservative. It has been 65 years since we last created a new school at MIT. This is, however, an historically important time beyond MIT and across the globe. Today, more people across wider swaths of this earth than ever before in human history enjoy the rights and privileges of citizenship. By that I mean the ability to participate in self-governance. Yet, at this very same moment, those legally protected rights and privileges of citizenship are subject to more powerful, significant, and disruptive challenges than ever since the 25-year-old aspiration became the foundation of the modern democratic state. The very same technologies, the internet, search platforms, and social media that join people across the globe in ever more robust, interactive, and widespread connections also threaten our democracies. We live in a new world order, a radically new organization of time and space, of people and things. Vast temporal, spatial, and cultural distances are bridged. Social organizations based on similarity and proximity have been transformed into functionally interdependent connections among very different and distant people. The quantity and pace of social interaction have increased geometrically. The everyday lives of the majority of people in most social classes all over the globe are constituted by more encounters of shorter duration over greater distances than ever before. This is life on the internet. In this escalating, energetic circulation of information and exchange, threats to democratic citizenship take root. We do not simply use the internet as a tool to shop, to find information, or just keep track of appointments and friends. With every click, search, and view, we, the users, supply the information for the algorithms to analyze and the platform companies to sell. We supply the fuel, the inputs, the raw materials of what is now a world of constant digitized surveillance. And as a consequence, we, the users, become the objects that are themselves used. A global architecture of computer mediation produces distributed and largely uncontested new and controlling forms of power, which despite their distribution are concentrated in a hub of less than a half dozen firms. This new world is constituted by unexpected and often illegible mechanisms of extraction, contractually permitted and regularly improved monitoring, personalization and customization, continuous experimentation, commodification and control, but effectively exile persons from their own behavior while producing new markets of behavioral prediction and modification. At this moment in history, the internet distributes more information than has ever circulated freely in human history. Yet, at the same time as the circulation of knowledge advances, the threats and challenges to expertise and to truth escalate, challenging democratic norms and centuries-long evolution of democratic citizenship. How did this happen? First, the inventors of the internet overlooked the essential role of conflict in context in shaping the uses and consequences of technology, a tool made for physicists to exchange information on a military platform was given to the world. Something built for a normatively cohesive and highly disciplined community was distributed to a world ungoverned by shared norms of participation. If the first problem was ignoring context, the second was generalizing from oneself. This was such a good technology for us, it must be good for everyone. By seeing oneself as every man, the inventors ignored human variation. They forgot to user test with diverse populations. Finally, the inventors demonstrated canonical groupthink, talking and listening to themselves and to a narrow set, and especially excluding unfamiliar, perhaps even critical perspectives. So what do we do now? Observers have been suggesting some possible fixes of various scales and probability. Our colleague, Tim Berners-Lee, is working on his solid platform to re-decentralize the web. Others suggest legal regulations and information fiduciaries. Some mention ethics boards for the major internet platforms and social media. And here is the great opportunity of the Stephen A. Schwarzman College of Computing to pursue all lines of exploration, and yet more that we haven't yet even imagined. More profoundly, the College of Computing will be dedicated to educating a different kind of technologist with greater understanding of the importance of context, of the importance of culture and its variations, a technologist with the ability to understand institutions and organizations, and thus less likely to make these kinds of mistakes. We hope to integrate computing with just about every other subject at MIT, so that when students leave here, they will have the knowledge and resources to be wiser, more ethically and technologically competent citizens and professionals. This is a very serious assignment, one that could have global consequences, and no one understands this better than our next speaker. Since 2012, Rafael Reif has served as the 17th president of MIT. As many of you already know, he is a person who makes no small plans. Rafael spearheaded the creation of MITx and edX, MIT's pioneering efforts to shape the future of higher education. A champion for both fundamental science and for MIT's signature style of interdisciplinary problem-centered research. He recently cut the ribbon on MIT Nano, the largest, most open facility of its kind in the nation. He created a new organization, the Engine, to help tough tech startups thrive. He is leading the decade-long redevelopment of Kendall Square and recently raised the goal of MIT's capital campaign to $6 billion. So it is no surprise that he had the bold idea to create the Schwarzman College of Computing. I have been pleased to work closely with Rafael and with Provost Marty Schmidt and Dean of Engineering Anantha Chandrakasan as the college took shape. And it is my pleasure to introduce him to you now. Please welcome MIT President Rafael Reif.
Good morning. Although I probably should say, hello world, hello MIT. A warm hello to everyone here this morning and to our many special guests, including Massachusetts Governor Charlie Baker, who will take the stage in a moment. Susan, where'd you go? Thank you for that extremely kind introduction, and thank you for observations, thought-provoking, as always. The MIT Schwarzman College of Computing came to life gradually over many months, and the process was not always linear. And Susan, you led us to the wisdom of voices from across the MIT community, and you helped us find the path to success. So I want to thank you personally for your support, your leadership, and your dedicated service to MIT. Arriving at this day required intense effort and creativity from hundreds of people, and I thank you all. However, I would like to start by thanking one person in particular. I first met Steve Schwarzman a few years ago. Obviously, I'm an academic, and Steve comes from the world of business. But very quickly, he became interested and curious, always curious, in what we're doing at MIT. One conversation led to another. And eventually, we both came to see that given the pervasiveness of computing, and especially AI, preparing the nation for the future will require bold action. If we want to maintain America's competitiveness in computing, research, and development, and if we want to make sure that this technology is developed and used in ways that serve our whole society, it will require bold action from industry, it will require bold, sustained investment from government, and it will require bold initiatives from higher education. In effect, and especially as a leading technical institution, we must reshape ourselves to prepare our students to shape the future. And the MIT Stephen H. Schwarzman College of Computing is MIT's answer to that challenge. So I hope you will join me now in thanking Steve for taking the time to understand MIT and for providing the foundational support that will help the people of MIT and many more inspired by his gift as we all work together to make a better world. Thank you, Steve. Before we begin, three quick thank yous to people who worked some serious miracles to get us to the college announcement, and particularly since the college announcement last October. Let me start first to thank our EVP and Treasurer, Israel Ruiz. Very little of importance happens at MIT without his deep engagement. I also want to offer huge thanks to our Dean of Engineering, Anantha Chandrakasan, and to his whole team for imagining this spectacular three-day event, including today, and making it all come to life. And finally, I want to express my tremendous gratitude to our provost, Marty Schmidt. In just a few months, Marty created 5 faculty working groups to think through core questions about the college. He somehow persuaded those groups to have the reports done by May, and he found us an outstanding dean. In fact, I'm delighted that the founding dean of the MIT Schwarzman College of Computing, Dan Huttenlocher, is with us today. Dan, where are you so that we can see you? Can you stand up? This afternoon, Mari will have more to say about Dan and what inspires us to choose him. Today's program offers a fascinating combination of doers and thinkers from inside and outside MIT. I expect the presentations will challenge us and inspire us. And we're grateful to everyone who agreed to speak here today. But the most important part of this event is not the people on the stage. It is all of you gathered here. It is all of us. Dan is the founding dean of the college, but together we are its founding community. Looking at the audience of many computing experts, I'm humbled, excited, and amazed at the opportunity before us. And as a former electrical engineer, I'm not going to try to tell you anything about computing or AI. But I do want to give you a sense of how I view the significance of what we begin today with the launch of MIT Schwarzman College. It is certainly a big deal for current and future MIT students. Students have been telling us for years, through the courses they choose, that computation is now as fundamental as math. They have also made clear that they want and need to be bilingual, as fluent in computing as they may be in biology, urban planning, or economics. And so at last, we have rearranged the Institute to reflect that wisdom and to accelerate that reality. I believe the college is also a big deal for our faculty. You can hear it in fascinating new conversations starting all over campus. Very few things get faculty more excited than new questions, new tools, new possibilities. And their excitement tells us, in turn, that the college is also a big deal for higher education. MIT is far from the only institution responding to the challenge of the algorithmic future. But history shows that in terms of technical education, what MIT does can inspire new approaches around the world. Think of our founding commitment to learning by doing, or the grounding of engineering in science, or Europe, Project Athena, or edX. So we should aim high. I believe the MIT Schwarzman College will also be a big deal for the nation. To start with, the scale of this commitment shows the federal government that we're serious about the need for an intense national focus on and investment in artificial intelligence. And in the long run, the college will produce graduates prepared to bring the power of computing to every sector of our society. In the end, the MIT Schwarzman College could also have great significance for the world if we get it right. So what would it mean to get it right? There are many practical challenges. For instance, we need to figure out how to do interdisciplinary teaching as well as we already do interdisciplinary research across widely divergent fields and at scale. But these things will come with time. To me, a defining challenge will be how well we succeed in making ethics and societal impact an integral, lasting focus in the life of the college. Today, questions around the impact and ethics of technology tend to be apologetic explorations of what went wrong, often occurring long after the fact, if at all. Everyone here knows that pushing the limits of new technologies can be thrilling, so thrilling that it's hard to think of bad consequences and how a tool might be misused. But the fact is, technologies like AI could be so powerful that we cannot allow ourselves to be intoxicated. There is no designated driver who can keep society safe on the road to the future. We must all take responsibility for staying alert and staying sober, and for building the policy guardrails that will keep us all out of the ditch. It is time to educate a new generation of technologists in the public interest. And I'm optimistic that the MIT Schwarzman College is the right place for that job. In the coming decades, it'll feel as though the opportunities, disruptions, and progress of the Industrial Revolution are playing out at time-lapse speed. Responding to the magnitude of this challenge will require a strategic effort across society. Technology belongs to all of us. Our society must be alert to the risks posed by AI, but there is no time to be afraid. Those nations and those institutions that act now to shape the future of AI will help shape the future for us all. I'm immensely grateful to join you in this work as members of the founding community of the MIT Schwarzman College of Computing. And I have the highest aspirations for what we can and must achieve together. So, let's get started. And now it's my pleasure to introduce our next speaker. Massachusetts Governor Charlie Baker has been a tremendous advocate for advanced manufacturing, cybersecurity, clean energy, biotech, and workforce development. We also count on him as an outstanding supporter, advisor, and ally for fundamental science, and for all of us working to strengthen a regional innovation ecosystem. He is, in short, a great friend to MIT. Please join me in welcoming Massachusetts Governor Charlie Baker.
So good morning, everyone, and to President Reif, and to Professor Silbey, and to Steve and Christine Schwarzman, and to all of the people who are here, who are part of this. On behalf of the Commonwealth and the country, frankly, and probably the world over time, I just want to say thank you. You know, as I was thinking a little bit about what an English major from Harvard might be doing here, and a guy who got his graduate degree in management out at the Kellogg School in Northwestern and studied mostly public policy and finance, I thought a little bit about why I might be here and what I might be able to say. And frankly, Professor Silbey put it so beautifully, I'm not really sure I got much to add to that. But the other thing I am is I'm 62 years old, and I've had a chance to sort of watch the evolution of this technology revolution as a citizen. And I remember in the 1970s and 80s when my friends in the engineering community would talk to me about Moore's Law and how the acceleration of capacity in technology was going to be a really great thing. And I remember in the 90s when one of my friends in the tech community said to me, this is before people were even getting used to the idea of email, there's this thing called the internet. It's going to be bigger than TV. And I remember a few years after that when another friend of mine in the tech world came to me and said, This is, again, before anybody really had gotten very far down the road of handheld technologies. Most of us had a flip phone at that point, but we really weren't much beyond that. And I had a friend of mine say, it's going to go from the TV to your desktop, which eventually obviously became your laptop, to a device that's going to be about the same size as your phone. And that small screen is going to be where most of the action is. And what I've taken away from that as I've watched that play out over time is, first of all, I've obviously had some pretty smart friends. They must have all gone to MIT. But the second thing I've taken from it is we do tend, and it's not just true in technology, it's true in a lot of things, we do tend to focus on the positive opportunities associated with the advancements of tools and knowledge. And sometimes we either don't pay attention to or miss some of the other consequences that are associated with those advancements in tools and technologies. And that's been true across a wide range of tool development, tool making, and technological developments over the course, of hundreds of years. What was the thing that we missed? And we keep doing it over and over and over again. And again, I thought Professor Silbey's comments just nailed it, and I think that's because she's a humanities, sociology, and anthropology person, which is almost like being an English major, but not quite. But we are heading into a period of time here when you think about that whole issue of how much we can do with technology and how much more machine learning and AI is going to bring to the table. We're having somebody or some group of somebodies who are multidisciplinary, really smart, trained in a whole variety of fields, thinking really hard, not just about the positive opportunities associated with this, but some of the downsides and the consequences associated with it as well. And I got to tell you, I give MIT enormous credit, and again, to the Schwarzmans and to Professor Reif, for taking this leap into thinking not just about what the positive opportunities associated with all this are going to be, but what some of the other issues that we really need to think about that are collateral to it. Because there are plenty of people out there who are going to take all this stuff and do really bad things with it. And there are plenty of people out here who are going to do really good things with it. But as a public official who knows that we are always running way behind the thought leaders in these spaces in terms of really understanding and appreciating what's coming next, having a place like MIT and a center like this and a college like this really thinking about the whole picture with respect to what this is going to mean for individuals and businesses and governments and societies, it's a gift. And to have it be here in Massachusetts, here at MIT, a place where I consider to be among the most important institutions, not just in the Commonwealth, but in the world, where we can all rest assured that people will take the mission and the objective and the opportunity seriously, and will bring the best people, not just in the US, but across the world, into the conversation. Well, frankly, it's gratifying. And in closing, I would just say this. There's no doubt in my mind that those people who talk to me about Moore's Law and those people who talk to me about the development of the internet and those people who talk to me about the fact that it's all going to come down to the small screen, they were all right. But they didn't talk to me about the whole shooting match with respect to what might come from that. And I think it was because their enthusiasm for the next act in technology capability just overwhelmed either their interest or their capacity in thinking about what the rest of the show and the picture might look like. And for MIT and the Schwarzmans and all the rest of the people who've been involved in this to step up and make sure we don't miss the rest of that conversation as this whole thing unwinds over the course or unfolds over the course of the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years, that's a really big deal. And today is a really big day. And I'm telling you, as somebody who's, lived through a big part of this, as an observer, as a public official, as a business operator, and just as a citizen, to have MIT in this role at this point, as we head headlong into the positive opportunities associated with this, it's a really great thing. And you should all be enormously proud. And I can tell you, I am enormously grateful. God bless and good luck.